What's going on, you guys? Director of Coaching Cole Russell from Detrimental Game Coaching, owner and founder Desi Maynor, back at it again with another episode 7.
Oh, yeah.
Big topic here, and I know this affects so many athletes.
Every single one.
Every single day, myself included, yourself included,
Yeah.
is the big one, fear of failure.
Yeah.
Super scary, right? Because it can be very, very detrimental to an athlete's mindset.
So much.
What is
Crippling.
exactly the fear of failure? And why? How does it affect athletes?
It is being scared to do the opposite of succeed. It's being scared to screw up. Being scared to fail. I mean, it seems like it's self-explanatory, but it's to the point of it's crippling.
Yeah.
It's paralyzing. Like, you won't go do the thing. You won't take the risk.
Yeah.
And if it's really bad, like, you won't even show up because I don't want to screw up.
Yeah.
To me, this is always like the biggest fear in the world is public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if you compare that to an athlete's biggest fear,
Yeah.
it's failure. But we all define failure differently as athletes.
Yeah.
Each sport defines it differently. Each athlete within the sport defines it differently.
Yep.
So, we've got to figure out what some of those are.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, some common fears associated with failures, we're going to lose. We're going to be embarrassed. We're going to let somebody else down, a coach, a parent. We're going to not perform as good as we can, like up to our potential.
Yep.
Not meeting other people's expectations, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, cousin. Social approval is another one, like not meeting it or not getting it.
I think that it boils down to two categories.
It does.
The fear of not meeting your own expectations and then other people's expectations.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different fears that go into that, winning games, losing games,
Yes.
letting, family members down, like you said.
Yep.
But those are the two main categories. It's yourself and then other people. And obviously no one wants to let, all those people in your life down.
Yeah.
And that's what can spiral you into just bad thoughts.
No, and you said, like, how is this affecting them? Well, it's keeping you from taking risks. It's keeping you from. It's like you're dragging around this big weight when you could be running like the wind.
Yeah.
Because you have this thought that's like stopping you, that's holding you back. It's like this wall.
Yeah.
Because you're scared of something that might not even happen.
Yeah.
Or you're scared of something that's absolutely going to happen.
Yeah.
Because we all screw up, we all fail.
Uh-huh.
So it's dealing with that. It's coping with that. But I guess talk to me about what's one of my specific fears when I was a center in football in college was snapping the ball over the quarterback's head.
Oh yeah.
Or dribbling it back to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like crippling fear.
Yeah.
And and I did those things multiple times throughout my career.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
What was
because I was thinking about them so much.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
what happens is that we start to think about the most negative scenario because we're scared of it the most. So we think about it the most. It's like, don't think about the color red.
Yeah.
You're going to think about the color red.
Right.
Type of deal.
Yeah.
So that's how it affects you.
Yeah.
And it can overtake your mind.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That happened to me so much in my soccer career, of wanting to win and score goals so badly, wanting to succeed so badly, not for anyone else, but for myself, that everything that I did, I was cautious and scared. And now I'm taking 3 seconds to make a decision instead of half a second. Yeah. And those 3 seconds is what makes me
slower decision making.
Lose
oh
the
my
ball.
Gosh, that's a huge one.
Teammate or the other team is, barreling down on me so quickly.
Yep.
And now that makes me even more scared the next time.
Yeah.
That like, oh, I need to do it because I failed last time. I need to succeed, and now I'm putting even more pressure on myself. It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
And it just exponentially just makes you fail over and over.
You just want to just stand there and be like, I can't screw up if I do this, right?
Yeah. It just shuts down.
We've put together a list here of some common signs. So walk us through this list, Cole.
Yeah.
What are some common signs to help the athletes that are watching and listening know if they're hitting this?
For sure. So there's quite a bit. So we'll only talk about a couple here, but One of the big ones is you have difficulty taking your practice mindset into your performance. That's mindset and switching those two.
Yeah.
We've talked about the
doing better in practice in the game.
Yeah. Yep. And that's obviously because, there's no pressure in practice. Right? Which is why we think that you need to put that pressure on yourself in practice, make it game realistic so that it's a seamless transition to your game.
So let me talk to you about this, because when I was in college, especially at Eastern Michigan when I played football, there was tons of pressure in practice.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure we'll hit on this in a later episode, but trying to be a starter.
Yeah.
But the pressure in practice, and maybe this was because of coaching staff, and I'm sure some of you experienced this, they made that pressure so heavy so that it was a less pressure in the game.
For sure.
Which worked sometimes and didn't work. Yeah. But I felt like I was almost always under that pressure, like to the point of I'm scared to death in practice.
Oh, yeah.
To screw up, because then I'm not going to get the playing time. Yeah. Then I won't be a starter. Yeah. I'm going to get screamed at, blah, 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 right? So that's interesting, too, because it was like I was in a, both practice and performance mindset simultaneously. Yeah. Which was extremely stressful. It did not do well for me. Oh, like it was it hurt my mental game, it hurt my physical game, all of the above.
Yeah, and every single athlete, we talk about transitions all the time. Yeah, every single athlete that goes through transitions goes through that exact mindset, right? Of being the star in high school, going to college immediately, the bottom. Now that pressure of, oh my gosh, like I need to be a starter. Yeah, and then it just builds. Yep. Right, and then going from middle school to high school, or freshman to JV, or JV to varsity. All these different transitions where now just by switching, levels, immediately there's more pressure.
Yeah, right? Which then there's more fear of failure.
Yeah, and it's just, it kind of compounds. So we need to.
Yeah. So the next one is you want to succeed so badly that you actually play cautiously. Mm-hmm. You hold back, maybe you don't make the pass or the shot or whatever it is. You're focusing way too much on the end result, the end state, the result. Did we win or lose? Did I play good or bad? You're super impatient, leading you to not perform well. Yep. Which kind of was an example of what you were telling us about in the last episode. Yeah. Of just not relaxing, not being patient. Yeah. Care too much about what others think. Mm-hmm. You tighten up, you freeze, you're super nervous or tense. Yeah. Kind of the trigger there is not performing freely. For sure. And let's say a couple other one, you worry that all the hard work you put in isn't going to pay off. I know that I experienced that one for sure. Yeah. A lot of the off the field work in the weight room and things like that. Yeah. You're always like, I did so much work on this and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it snowballs and you work yourself into a frenzy of fear of failure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the last one is those pregame jitters are just straight up performance anxiety. Oh, yeah. And which is pretty much crippling. Yeah. And it sucks. Yeah, it does. So that's how to tell. So if you're experiencing this, you probably are. Yeah. But walk us through, what do we do with it now?
Yeah. So the big thing for us, right, is you need to identify your specific fears. We talked about, different fears that we've gone through, other athletes have gone through, but every athlete's different. So the big thing for you is you need to define, and that seems to be a common theme of mental game coaching, is
awareness,
right? Yeah. It's huge. And you need to define exactly what your fears are and how, and dive deep into them. Don't just be like, okay, I fear losing a game. Okay, great. But why? Yeah. Why? So we talk about 7.
What is your specific fear or fears? Yep. Right. You heard from both of us. We had multiple. Yep. So that's kind of step one. What's your specific fear? Yeah. All right. So step 2, what do we do with it now?
Okay. You got to confront it.
Yeah. Right. Face the music.
Yeah. You have to identify it and be like, okay, now why? Right. Yes. You have to actually confront your fear, and just identify, just be brave enough to confront it.
Well, they heard us asking you questions. Mm-hmm. It was is it true? Yeah. Does that make sense? Is that actually going to happen? Is that reality? Yeah. Is that logical? Right. All those. So you gotta ask yourself some questions there. Yeah. In order to find out in order to confront it. Like, you got to flesh it out. You got to talk it through.
Yeah.
Because usually it's unrealistic. Usually it's illogical.
Yep.
And usually it's not going to happen, at least to the extent of what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So and that's the kind of really step 3 is being rational about sports and life.
Oh yeah.
And separating the two.
Yeah.
And we can both speak on this because I mean we eat, sleep, breathe, study, talk about the family, friends, everything was our sports.
Oh yeah.
Or our sports.
Yeah.
And that took some work.
Yeah.
That took some inner work.
Yeah.
Especially, as I'm not playing a sport anymore.
For sure.
Now I'm coaching a kids coach softball.
Yeah.
Coach their softball team. But just separating those things. So being real about your life and your sport and separating the two. That's step 3.
Yeah.
Because you ask why, perspective. Perspective on sports. I mean, dude, do you know what in National Football League, you know what NFL actually stands for? Not for long. Not for long. Yeah. Because, sports are only going to play, you're only going to be able to play them for a certain amount of times, but the things that you learn in them, the mentalities, the mindsets, the mental game that you learn, I mean, that's our true mission is to carry those into your family, into your life, into your career, your whatever it is. Yeah. Those are going to make everything else easier. The only way to do that is that you have to separate them. You have to know that I'm a person and an athlete. Yeah.
And I want to take it one step further I had a coach that harped on this all the time of it's person over player. Yeah. Right? It's the person, who you are as a person, as an individual is more important than who you are as an athlete. Yeah. And a lot of people, don't separate it, right? And they associate, okay, if I fail as an athlete, I'm going to fail as a person. If I fail as a person, I'm going to fail as an athlete, right? No. First of all, you need to take care of, who you are as a person. Discover who you are, understand who you are, and then separate it. And then, okay, who are you as an athlete? Yeah. Right? You could be, as a person, you could be, a complete difference maker, right? In your community. But as an athlete, maybe you're, not a difference maker. You're just there, right? Absolutely. Kind of like you need to be able to separate it. Or you're the complete opposite, right? As an athlete, you're a difference maker, right?
So I got 2 questions for him that will help kind of center this and really nail it down. Because you're like, how do I do that? Yeah. So number 1 is, does having this fear help me? Then it kind of brings it to a simple yes or no. Right. And then the second one is, what's a different way of looking at this fear? Yeah. So usually the answer is going to be no. Yeah. And now it's reframing it, looking at it differently, separating you from your sport. Yeah. And you'll be off and running and starting to tackle this fear of failure. But you got to be aware of it first. Yeah. You got to talk it out. Yeah. Right. And, if maybe you can't talk to your mom or dad or your coach or your teammate about it, like pull someone else aside, talk to your dog about it, call us, whatever it may be. Yeah. But you got to talk these through. Yeah. It's one of the things that our athletes tell us that they love so much about our programs is like, I just needed someone to talk to about my crap.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right. From you to me to Pee-wee to professional. Yeah. Like you're like, your stake in my game is not as high. Yeah. You actually just want to help. Yeah. Right, where everyone else wants to win, wants to push their kid, like rightfully so, like all good stuff. Sure. But we're like, we're just here to help you, Bobby, Susie, whatever. Right. That we don't like. You're gonna win, you're gonna lose. Yeah. That doesn't matter. No, but you gotta find somebody like that. Yeah, absolutely. To walk you through this. But fear of failure, it's a real thing. Yep. Tell them where they can go to find all the stuff.
Yeah. So everything about fear of failure is gonna be in our confidence workbook. Yeah. As well as, common mistakes that you're making. Yep. As well as us coaching you. So everything that we've talked about, our costly mistakes workbook, our confidence course, meeting with us to be a mental game coach for you, everything's going to be in the description. Go check it out. Go check out our website. And if you just want to see like where you're at, just send us an email, send us an invite, or something. We'll talk to you. Just try to help you out because
get you on a mental game strategy session.
Absolutely, because fear is a powerful motivator, unfortunately, but fortunately, trust is more powerful.
Yeah.
So stay away from fear of failure. Focus more on trust. And with that being said, that's the end of episode 7. See you guys next time.